guys, and welcome to Are You Brave Enough? I'm your host for this evening, and tonight our special guest is Shel Buckley from the Welsh crew. Tonight we're going to get to know her a little better. But before that, I'd like to let you know that our very own Trudy is doing readings on the Trudy Psychic Tarot Kent page straight after the show, so tune in. And also, if you could give us some heart, bump up those hearts and share it, that would be absolutely amazing. Anyway, good evening, Shel. How are you?
Bonjour from Wales, not south.
You're a bit quiet, so
Okay,
you might have to shout.
Try to be a bit louder. Ooh,
Yeah. Bless you.
story of my life.
So, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your crew location and everything?
Well, I live in Wales, in Powys, near the Brecon Beacons, and I have my own little private team called Brecon Beacons Paranormal. I'm one of the founders, and we work for GHT as well. So, what do you want to know?
Right. If anybody have any questions for Shel, please put them in the comments and we'll ask away. Anyway, what is your favourite location?
No. Well, my personal favourite is Woodchester Mansion. I absolutely adore that place. I can't remember how many times I've been now. I've been so many times. And I've witnessed some really weird stuff there. So that would be my most favourite. But, there's so many, isn't there now? I mean,
Definitely.
Drakelow Tunnels, absolutely adore Drakelow. Margam. There's quite a few that I would say I really like. And there's quite a few I still want to go to. But,
Absolutely.
yeah, Woodchester would have to be my favourite.
Well, we've caught some brilliant evidence at Woodchester Mansion, me and you together as well. So,
Yeah.
because I've been a few times with you as well. So we've had some really good stuff there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Craig has asked, what's your favourite piece of equipment?
Well, I do like my mag light, I must admit, but basically me. I'm old school. I'm an old school investigator, and I think that your own self is usually the best tool in the book. But no, I do like using the mag light. I've had really, really good responses with the mag light. I don't know. I mean, there's so many more sophisticated equipment coming out that we're looking into. But I mean, it's technology. I'm a bit long in the tooth now that the technology of today is a bit beyond me sometimes. But I do like the mag light, and I like things like putting trigger objects out and things so that you can lock off an area and see if things actually move. We did it once with Brecon Beacons. We set it was modern day set of keys that we put up in. We were investigating a Victorian school local to us, and we put a set of keys that we drew around and took a photograph of, and we locked it off into what would have been the headmaster's office. And at the end of our investigation of about 5 or 6 hours, we went back up there and they had moved. So, it's interesting stuff to go back to being old school. But my best piece of equipment is myself.
Absolutely.
Hope that answers you, Craig.
Shel's, Lynn says, Shel, do you own any haunted objects?
Do I own a? I don't know. I don't think I do. Not as yet, anyway. There's things that have got sentimental attachment to me that have energy from either a relative but I wouldn't class them as haunted.
No, absolutely. Andy Godfrey says, what's the scariest encounter personally?
Oh, well, that's quite interesting because nothing actually happened, but it was terrifying at the same time. That sounds really, really contradictory, but we were at an investigation in Margam Castle, and there was a group of us with some guests all holding hands, and we'd had the mag light come on and off, and then everyone had gone silent. Nobody stopped calling out, and we're all just absolutely frozen to the spot. And you could hear things walking around us, and you could sense a real foreboding feeling. And it was only after a while I said, "Is anyone else absolutely terrified?" And they went, "Yes." And we all decided to go for a coffee break because we were absolutely terrified. The atmosphere in the room was just awful. So we did go down for coffee, but when we went back up into that room, the feeling had completely gone. And I think that was the only time that I can say I was truly, truly frightened. But it was for no reason. It was completely, idiopathic. It was just, there was no rhyme or reason to be scared. Nothing happened.
Karen wants to know, what's the most haunted place you've been to?
I would say probably Dover Castle.
Shall we get it over and done with?
I know I mentioned it. Yeah, I'm sure you'll mention what happened last time we went to Dover Castle, but Dover Castle was a real eye-opener for me, and seeing a shadow completely run across a corridor into a wall was awesome. And stuff happened there, and it was just absolutely fabulous. So I would say Dover Castle is one of my most haunted locations I've been to, on par with Woodchester.
It took her a week to get back.
Sure.
We'll
be here for an hour talking about that shit.
Well, it didn't tell you how to get back, I can tell you that.
Yeah, it did take us a week. We were supposed to be doing 2 days with GHT as crew to Dover Castle, and me and the ex, we had driven down in our RV, and it broke down. So it took us not just the weekend, it took us nearly 5 days to get home. So yeah.
Well, at least you had the dogs with you.
Yeah, and they were good company. They enjoyed their trip, I think. I mean, it wasn't just the fact that we broke down; the exhaust fell off, and yeah.
The lights stopped working.
Yeah, no lights, everything. It just packed up, and yeah, it was the most That was the most terrifying experience in my life.
Absolutely. Ant says, "What made you get into investigating?"
Well, I have been a sensitive all my life, since I was probably about 7, 8 years old, and I've always had that interest anyway. And by the time I was in my late teens, I was very much into that side in my life. And it was only after I started doing, as most of us investigators start doing, just paying to go on to a ghost hunt to experience it, that gave me the bug. I mean, that's nearly 15, 20 years now in, and I just got the bug. And the more you investigate, the more you question. So yeah, I mean, it's in my blood really to do this.
Absolutely, because we were investigating for a few years together, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got Gap Paranormal, and we came on to a couple of your events, and then you asked us to join. So and then it all sort of escalated from there.
Yeah.
So,
and then it was my fault. You joined Ghost Hunter Tours.
Well, of course, Amy. We follow you everywhere. You're our captain.
Absolutely. Right. The lovely Diane says, "If you could meet anyone in history, who would it be? Plus, love your bird."
Oh, she's Diane, and I love you too. I think I would like to meet Socrates. I'm a bit philosophical, so yeah, it would have to be Socrates, I think.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Right, the next question, Mr. Bradford.
Oh God, look out.
What's the most active event you've done?
Oh, there's been so many. Oh gosh. I suppose Dover was definitely good. Oxford Castle was good when me and you went together.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really cool.
Do you remember that one time at the Skirridin, right, when we did that investigation there? We had on the spirit box, "Welcome to the Skirridin," and I went, "What did you say?" And it repeated it.
Yeah, and it did it twice.
Yeah. And it said,
Yeah.
it's just like, wow.
But yeah, I mean, the most active, I don't know. I mean, it depends on the night, and there's always some form of activity. I mean, whether small or big. Yeah, Oxford Castle for me was quite significant. I actually chased Spirit down the corridor because I heard them coming down the stairs, thinking it was a member of crew, and they walked past me and the other girl that was with me. It walked straight past us and carried on up the corridor, and I ran after them, and the footsteps stopped, and I got it on EVP. I got it on record. It's bizarre.
Absolutely. I'm just seeing if anyone's got another question. I'll ask you one of mine.
Oh gosh.
I was going to. I will ask you, what location is on your bucket list?
It has to be Bram's Castle. I'm hoping Andy's going to send GHT there. I got my passport ready, Andy.
I've never owned a passport. I'm going to have to get one.
Yeah, Transylvania. Also the catacombs, Paris as well. Yeah, I mean, I would love to go internationally. Even to places in America. There's some lovely places. If you're looking at the UK, it would have to be Newisham Park. I still want to do an asylum. I think that would be quite cool.
Absolutely. Right, Dee says, I shall. Is there anywhere you would like to investigate, which we have, like you haven't yet? Plus, who in spirit would you take with you, famous or not?
Oh, okay. Well, Newisham Park, definitely. Newisham Park is where I would really like to go. And I think I'd take my dad.
Oh, how lovely.
I always take my dad.
Right. Trudy says, if you were allowed one piece of equipment, what would you take?
Maglite!
I knew you were going to say that.
I've got to take a torch. I mean, I've wandered around so many places without a torch. When I went to Drakelow with you last time, I think I walked into a wall because I didn't have a torch with me. So yeah, definitely my Maglite.
Right. Andy says, can I ask another one? Right.
Of course.
If so, right, have you investigated in London? And if so, where?
Well, Andy, thank you for your question, but I live in Wales, and London's quite a fair trek for me to get to, and as soon as it takes 5 days to get to Dover and back.
Now, if you were driving, you'd have been back there and back in about 2.
But no, I mean, London Tower would be cool to do.
Wow, yeah.
But no, I haven't been to London yet to investigate. But give it time. I'm still a little bit young yet.
Right, Lynn wants to know, what's the best piece of evidence you have ever got?
Well, I still think it was Oxford Castle and the footsteps, and plus the fact there was we went to, was it Spiritus?
Yeah.
The shop, and we put.
Oh, I know where you've on about. Yeah, you come with us.
We put Mark and another guy in the lower cellar area with just a recording device, and we were upstairs doing Ouija board, and Mark and this other guy was just silent. They just sat there, only occasionally asking out and calling out, and there was a woman's voice on there going,
I remember
and
that.
It wasn't any of us, it was in the room with them, and Mark actually heard it, but the other guy didn't, and it was on the recording as well. And I think it also happened in Oxford Castle down in the basement. But yeah, it's really funny because you say about catching evidence, but it's usually you haven't caught it because you've seen it with your own eyes. I mean, Oxford Castle, me and a guest were stood there looking up this corridor because we were seeing lights up there when this shadow just ran straight across the corridor, straight into the wall, and it looked like a small child running. But of course, we didn't have any equipment on us. We were just facing that way. And of course, so you missed the evidence. But yeah.
Karen wants to know, have you been to the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham?
Not yet. On my bucket list. Yeah,
well, I'll tell you what.
And Jamaica Inn. I wouldn't mind going to Jamaica Inn.
Jamaica Inn's a really cool place. And Bodmin is.
Yeah,
I've been to both. Jail
is another one.
Someone's just put, hang on, Chris put, Chillingham Castle's great. No sleeping there. I've stayed there for a week. I have Chillingham Castle. I love Chillingham Castle.
I was going to say, you go on holiday there, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Love it there.
Yeah, you've recommended it. So, once COVID's out the way, hopefully we can...
Maybe we can... I'll come on holiday up there with you. You driving?
Oh, yeah, all right then. Yeah, you're on. Yeah, all right. We'll make it a date, Amy.
Absolutely.
Then you've got to come to St Bravels with me as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is in Wales, so you're all right.
That's all right then. Right. Is there any type of location that you favour? Castles, tunnels, hospitals, etc.?
I definitely love hospitals. And I definitely love castles. I mean, I think castles are probably one of my favourite places to go. My one experience, I was 17 and I went to Oystermouth Castle as a day trip, and I was only 17, and I was with a nice biking gentleman, and we got off the bike, parked the bike, walked through the main gates, and as soon as I walked through the main gates, I burst into tears. And I was there for 20 minutes crying my eyes out because all I could sense was the despair and the fighting that... I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah. Yeah, and so yeah, I mean that castles have got something special about them. They are so steeped in history. It's I do like them, but I do like also asylums and hospitals, but it's a different kind of energy. It's a bit more depressing, I suppose, in some way. But castles, I would say, are my favourite.
Brilliant. Ricky has got a really good question, actually. Is there any location you would refuse to
Return to? Whittington Castle, I wasn't over enamoured about. That's in Wales. But no, I think you have to give certain places the benefit of the doubt kind of thing. You know, I think you have to return several times on several different parts of the year, because like all investigation, you're not sure whether anything's going to happen. You know, nothing could happen. Yet one week you go to the same place and it's exactly as hell. So I think, you know, to refuse to go point blank to anywhere, no, I don't think you can do that unless you've really investigated it thoroughly, you know?
Absolutely. Right. Andy's put, keep those arts coming.
Yeah. Send us some hearts.
Absolutely, and keep sharing as well. Right, hang on. Oh, Nikita, that's your Nikita. Remember when you jinxed me and Kay, John, at the Savoy with Kay nearly losing her fingers?
Oh yes, we were on a GHT hunt there, and me and my group were in the downstairs green room, one of the changing rooms. And we were all sat there. I think even you were there, Amy.
Probably, yeah.
We had a K2 on the thingy. I had on the floor. We had above us was the stage, and we had one of my motion sensitive alarms. You know, my sensitivity alarms. And we were calling out, and it was pretty quiet. I mean, we'd heard a little bit of movement up on the stage, but not a lot, and it was dead quiet. And I suddenly said, I've got a really weird feeling. I feel really apprehensive. And suddenly there was an almighty bang. The door opened and nearly took, because Kay was sat on the floor with her hand down, and the door nearly took her fingers off. And the alarm went off on the stage. And it scared the hell out of us. So that, yeah, I do remember that. And Kay's also been very scared there on her own when we've been setting up. When one of the toilet seats actually came down, or the toilet flushed, and she nearly fell down the stairs into the green room. So yeah,
I think
good place.
I think Dee had an accident there actually as well.
Yeah,
That
she
was
did.
quite funny.
I think she broke her thumb. I think she
Yeah.
broke her thumb when she fell down the stairs.
Yeah,
From the
that's it.
stage.
Right. Have you worked with any other groups? If so, how do they compare to Ghost Hunter tours?
Oh, well, that's a silly question, Craig.
That's a still really silly question.
No comparison. No comparison. I can't answer that apart from saying, well, you know, Gary and Andy are fab. They're
Absolutely.
great to work for, and the teams are great. You know, everybody is in it for what we're in it for, investigating
and giving people a fantastic night.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Mark wants to know what scares you.
No. See, if I go and tell people what scares me, I could end up getting scared. It's not ghost hunting. No, what scares me? It's centipedes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, centipedes. I really, really don't like them. I don't
like earwigs.
I'm hoping that one of my team members, he works with small creatures, and I'm hoping that he might be able to desensitize me with centipedes. But yeah.
Can you film it, Gavin? Film it.
If Gavin's on, yeah. He's got to desensitize me for him.
Nicole wants to know what's the scariest thing you've seen.
The scariest thing. Well, working in the veterinary industry.
I was going to say something else, but I thought better of it.
No, paranormal wise, it hasn't. There hasn't been anything that's really, really scared me. I think the most scariest thing is being jumped by the living. You know, when you get scared, somebody's gone. You know. But no, I don't really get scared very often.
No, you don't actually.
No.
You're a bit hardcore.
Well, I don't know about hardcore. Stupid, maybe.
Well, that as well. Right, Diane wants to know, can I ask, if you were able to morph into an animal, what would you choose to be?
I'd be an owl, Diane, because it's my totem. I hope that answers you. Yeah, my owls are my totem, so yeah, it's definitely
I've got to think about owls.
Yeah.
Right, Andy wants to know, have you ever experienced anything in your own home?
Oh, many times. Not in this new house, I must admit, but many times. Before I moved here, we lived in a 300-year-old farmhouse, and although it wasn't constantly active or anything, but we did have a unit in the front room. It was open plan, and the drawer, one day I came downstairs and the drawer had turned itself up about 4 foot away from the unit, and it was upside down in the middle of the room with all the contents still underneath it, and that happened twice. And I lived in a caravan on a farmland on my own. And the one day I was sat having a cup of coffee, reading a book. I didn't have television, I didn't have internet, and I put my cup on the side, and my cup moved about 6 inches away from me. And I thought, oh, that's a bit odd. And I thought, oh, it must be water. I must have got water on the bottom of the cup. And when I picked it up, it was dry. And so, you know, yeah. And I used to live in a place where things used to go missing and then reappear. Which was a bit bizarre because I used to lose things quite constantly, and I'd have to say, for God's sake, please put it back, and within a few hours it would be returned. So yeah, I've lived in places where there's been activity, and it's quite reassuring, really.
Craig says, shall have investigated any prisons, and if you could choose one, which would it be?
Yeah, well, I've done Shrewsbury, and I've also done Gloucester.
You've done Little Dean Jail as well.
Little Dean Jail. But I would like to do Bobbin Jail, isn't it?
Yeah,
I would very
Bodmin's.
much, yeah, I'd very much.
I've been
like
to
have,
Bodmin jail, but I've never investigated it.
and I would certainly want to go back to Little Dean, but I'm not sure whether they're still open now, especially with COVID. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to there. I had some brilliant stuff happen at Little Dean.
Right. Ant wants to know, what's the funniest thing you've done on an investigation?
Oh God, there's been so many.
I know.
Listen,
I've been part of some of them as well.
Listening to your throat.
Oh yeah.
Your throat used to go mad.
I know. Remember me walking around with that thermal imaging camera?
Yeah. Looking for somebody to fart. I think that was probably the funniest thing.
Yeah, that was Woodchester.
We were at Woodchester, and
I just
Amy
need to
had
test
her
some
FLIR
kit.
camera, and she said, "I've seen that you can actually capture a fart on the FLIR camera." So she's asking everyone, "Tell me when you're going to fart. Tell me when you're going." And I think it was Mark who said, "I'm going to fart now, Amy." And you were so disappointed that it didn't work.
There weren't even no heat signature or anything. Oh, well gutted.
Yeah. I think it is quite funny though if when you do an investigation and it's dead quiet because you're listening out and somebody goes, that is quite funny. That is really funny.
Right. Next question, right? Oh no, it's just someone saying. Nicole says, "Thank you for the reply. I'm petrified of ghosts. I have to sleep with the light on." Oh, bless you.
With living, you have to
Absolutely.
be worried about.
Right. Jill wants to know, Shel, have you ever investigated places abroad? And if so, what place is it?
No, I haven't, Jill. I've only just got my passport. But I do want to, and Bram's Castle would be on the top of my list. Like I said earlier, as well as the catacombs, I would love to, absolutely love to. I think, internationally, you've got so many places, and so many places steeped in history. It would just be brilliant to just travel around doing all sorts of investigations. So,
right. What's the most underrated place you've investigated?
that has to be Whittington Castle. Yeah. It was. I don't know.
No, that's overrated.
Yeah.
Underrated, you mean?
Underrated. But it might have just been a bad night. You can't diss places just because nothing happened that particular night. Like I said earlier, you have to visit them several times before you can make any evaluation. I mean, that's part of investigating. I mean, take for instance the Savoy Theatre. I mean, if you speak to certain people, they go, "Oh no, it was awful. It was quiet. It was this and that." But I mean, we did our own group before we were doing GHT. We did our own 6 months. Every month we did an investigation at the Savoy Theatre in Monmouth, and it proved to be really an eye opener. That some nights nothing. Some nights you just didn't get, and it was non-stop, So
absolutely. They're not performing monkeys.
No, well, they're not. And also you have to take in consideration the weather, the what the temperatures is, the time of year. It can all make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Will wants to know, have you been negatively affected by a spirit?
Well, thanks, Willie, for the question. I protect myself anyway. But yes, there's been times where I have felt really uncomfortable. I have become angry. I've been, I started to feel what spirit's feeling, and I have to remove myself from that area just for a few minutes, just to come out of that environment. So yes, I would say yes, I have been negatively affected, but because I have my own spirituality and my own protection that I do for myself, as well as any group that comes on a GHT event, we do protection. It helps, But yes, I do believe that, as in life, there are negative people, and so therefore, even if they pass, they don't suddenly become good, and they can still be quite mean. And one instant was at Shrewsbury Prison. We did have a really strong energy that came up. It actually threw the glass off the table. I come off the table. We were just doing yes and no on a table with a glass, and it threw the glass off the table, and it's just sat on the floor spinning for some time, and that wasn't pleasant, you know. So yes, I do think that I have been negatively affected, but I've never brought them home.
Absolutely. Talking of Will, he's our guest next week. He is. So next week could be interesting. I could regret this. I really could. Right. What do you specialise in? Gadgets, mediumship.
I think sensitivity. I wouldn't class myself as a medium, but I do occasionally see spirit. I do feel an awful lot, being an empath. I'm very empathic of people's feelings, and sometimes that's my downfall. But yeah, I suppose my empathy is probably my greatest strength. Sensitivity, and you know, I can walk into a room sometimes and be overwhelmed by what I can feel. But you know, as you get older, you start to learn your craft, if you like, and you learn how to block, you learn how to protect yourself, and you learn how to open yourself up. So yeah, I think my strongest strength is my empathetic abilities.
Okie dokie. Our next question. Ricky wants to know, have you ever witnessed levitation?
No. No.
It depends on who's doing it.
No, sorry, Ricky. I have never seen anybody float or anything else float. So, yeah.
Trudy wants to know, as you have veterinary experience, Shel, do you experience animal energies on ghost hunts easier than fellow crew members on location?
I don't know whether I would say easier than fellow crew members, but yes, I certainly do seem to attract animal spirits towards me. Cats are quite a big one. I mean, I've got 4 cats myself, and cats quite often are in certain places. I think we investigated one of your schools in Nuneaton, was it? And there was a cat there.
Yes, and that was the college,
yeah,
Kex.
Yeah.
Kex, King Edward's College, that was. That's a pretty good location, that is.
Yeah. And there was a cat there. So so yeah, there's a yeah, I would say I do feel spirit of animals greatly, but I don't know whether I can feel it as much as other crew members. I can't really judge that.
Right, Gary, our very own Gary, wants to know, have a spirit ever manifested itself to you?
Yes. Once at Woodchester, and that was probably a pretty scary time. We were on the top floor, just me and my ex were on the top floor, and he was one end and I was the other end. And I felt, and I could see this person coming right in front of my face, so close I could almost feel his breath. And at that point, I kind of closed my eyes and just thought, please go away, because he really did make an impression. But as a whole, I can say that I've only ever seen a full apparition twice in my life. And the first time was when I was a child, and we lived in a coach house in North Devon. And I woke up and there was a lady sat on my windowsill, and she was dressed in like, well, I can describe it as a milkmaid's costume. She didn't say anything. She didn't move. She just was sat there, and then she disappeared. And that was probably the first real experience that I had of seeing something that I couldn't explain. And I mean, that coach house, I lived there till I was about 13. And we had all sorts of things. My mum had a Singer sewing machine in the spare room, and quite often that would be the treadmill would be going, and you'd walk upstairs. I'd creep upstairs, and I'd stick my head around the door. I could see it going, and as soon as I walked into the room, it stopped. We had taps would turn on and just be left on. You come downstairs, you could hear the water, and you come downstairs, tap would go on, doors would shut. You know, my mum's bed would shake. You know, just the bed, just would tremor. And yeah, my mum didn't like that place very much. But you know,
Right.
full apparition is very hard to come by.
Yeah, you don't see them very often. Right, Anne wants to know, if money was no object, what location would you book and sleep alone in?
Wow. I don't know is the answer to that. I would say probably a castle in Scotland. Only because I like Scotland. And
I like Scotland.
Yeah, I think there's some really wicked castles in Scotland. But abroad, I would say Bram's Castle. But I don't know whether I'd stay there totally on my own. I don't know whether I'd feel quite comfortable with that.
Right. Hang on. Have you ever refused to read anybody? Like if you was doing some sort of mediumship or anything, have you ever refused?
I don't. I mean, I do my own tarot. I read my own oracle cards, but I would never do it for someone else.
No.
I just don't. So yeah, I refuse completely. I do it for myself alone. So
Absolutely. Right, Diane wants to know, in your opinion, who was the greatest ambassador to the world in proving the existence of ghosts and spirits?
Wow, that's a really good question, Diane. I don't know, because I don't follow an awful lot of TV ghost hunting people. You know, I think that probably does more damage to the paranormal field than anything. I prefer people like Kieran O'Keefe, who are much more, it's not so much skeptical, but they use a more scientific approach. And I think professionally investigating, is where you would absolutely log everything down over a long time. So I don't follow many huge people to say who I think would be an ambassador. I think we all should be. I think we should, you know, we're all trying to find that truth. And I think we should all be pulling together and supporting each other in the field that we chose. You know, I don't think there should be any competition in fighting for top dog. So
no one is as better as anybody else. Like, everyone's got their own different path, but no one's better than anybody else.
Yeah,
I don't care how much experience you've got.
Yeah, I don't think you can be any expert. There's no expert in paranormal hunting. You know, I mean, it's all still very new to everybody, and I think finding different ways to investigate is a better option than you know, saying, oh yes, I'm an expert because I've done so many years. You know, I mean, it still surprises me sometimes when I go in on investigating evening that what we can pick up and what other people pick up. And we're all different. We all have different kind of methods, and I think, you know, it should be shared. We should be sharing our experiences.
Absolutely. Kay says, do you think it's wise not to protect yourself?
Personally, no. I don't think it's why. I don't think it's wise not to protect yourself. No, I always do. I always protect myself before I leave for an investigation, and I always, if we're doing a public event, I always make sure that you know, we protect the public. Because a lot of these people, they've never been before to a ghost hunt, and they may have different thoughts to the way that we've been doing it and aren't scared. But you know, they could experience things that they can't explain, and then they're worried that things are going to harm them. So I think it's personal choice. At the end of the day, it's free will, and I think if you don't want protection because you're happy or you don't believe it, you're too skeptic, then that's fine, you know. But I personally, I think it's wise to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Diane says, Ames, Craig asked earlier if Shel has ever had regression. I didn't see that earlier.
No,
Sorry.
no, I haven't, Di. Why?
You want to be a guinea pig?
I wouldn't mind being regressed. It'd be quite
Yeah, I'd
interesting.
love to as well.
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Right. Right. Trudy says, you'll have a natural animal affinity on Earth, so they should be drawn to you.
Oh,
absolutely.
Bless you, Trudy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bloss. I know Bloss. That. She says, have you ever been to Berry Pomeroy? I have.
Where is it? No.
It's in Devon, Cornwall way.
Okay.
Cornwall.
No,
yeah, it's down that way. I've been there. It's a really good location, actually. Hang on. Oh, we've got no more questions at the moment. Oh, that means I'm back to the drawing board. So, in your opinion, no, we've had that one.
Oh dear.
So I'm not asking questions in order. So how many years have you been investigating?
Oh God. It's my birthday on Thursday.
Is it? Happy birthday!
And so it's gotta be 20 plus years. Yeah.
About the same as me then.
Yeah. Yeah, about that.
Chris has just said, when we stayed at Chillingham Castle before going to bed, I closed the door so I wouldn't hear any slams. And still, really?
Did that ever happen to you, Amy, when you stayed at Chillingham?
Well, I've stayed in a couple of them, the places, and one night, like, we heard footsteps walking around, like, which was interesting. Like, and you get to go, like, because you can't explore the old castle, you can only go like through the witch's room and the courtyard and that, like, to go up to the tower and that. And I tell you what, right, it's really airy in there. Like, I sat in the little miniature dungeon bit on my own. I loved it. I was well in my element. Well, right.
Oh, somebody asked a question. I just thought of something, that somebody asked a question about, would I refuse to go somewhere to investigate? And
yeah.
For me personally, I don't investigate churches that are still working churches or churchyards. I think that that is a resting place. It's sacred ground for the Christian belief, and I think that it should be left alone. So I just thought I'd just add that in. That's just my own personal belief.
Okay. Trudy says, have you tried ghost hunting in the daytime? And if yes, what did you think?
Yeah, I have. We went to Tower Court. I've been to Tower Court, which is just like 15 minutes down the road from me. And yes, I've gone in and investigated. The problem that you have, and this is one of the reasons why we investigate at night, is that the rest of the world is quiet. When you're trying to investigate during the day and you're in a noisy environment, or it's a place that tourists are going, you can't have control. You haven't got the control. So unless spirit came right up to you and spoke to you in your ear, how are you going to explain it? Unless you actually see them, how are you going to explain it as being paranormal? So you can do daytime. You can go to a nice quiet external area, woods and things. But again, it's such open to interpretation that it's difficult to be able to say, yes, that was somebody walking. Yes, that was a voice, and it wasn't an owl or a fox or something, snapping a twig. So it can be difficult during the day, and this is why we do investigating at night, is that your senses are much more awake and the whole world is quieter. I hope that answers the question.
Right, Ant wants to know, what are your thoughts on mirrors? Do you think they are the passageway passageway to other realms?
I'm still yet to see that. I do think mirrors, the reflection ability of a mirror can affect your own chi. And hence why I don't normally have mirrors facing my bed. But whether they're portals, I'm still sitting on the fence a little bit there. That's why I want to go back to Haunted Antique Centre. I got to come back and see the mirror that you put back together, Amy.
I know. Tell me about it. You ain't seen the big one yet, either. I tell you what, and did you know that mirrors are the only thing that scare me at night? To this day, I still cover mirrors. I hate them.
Well, you went really weird when we were investigating at Haunted Antiques in Hinckley. You went really weird with the mirror. You were just standing there, sitting facing the mirror, just being really weird.
Yeah, I don't do mirrors. I really hate them. I really do.
But, I mean, scrying's great for. I quite enjoy scrying. I used to hate it when I first ever started scrying many years ago. I hated it, but now I'm quite happy to do a bit of scrying. But I'm not. I'm still sitting on the fence about portals, but I know that they can reflect chi.
Yeah. Ricky wants to know, have you ever had anything negative come through the Ouija board?
Only once. That was on an investigation in Drakelow Tunnels, and some guests who were there, they were also a paranormal group. They had been somewhere else the week before, and it came back up on they were just talking to the same thing that they were talking to when they had been before. And then it spelt Legion, and at that point we closed the ball. So I would say, yeah. I mean, it was that was a bit odd. But then and another negativity would have been at Shrewsbury Prison when we had the negative person come through rather than going into demons and weird entities.
I'm gonna ask one more question before I bring our special guests on. Right. Okay. And I've been really disappointed tonight. I can't believe it. I thought Gary were going to jump on. Right. Andy wants to know, do you think that cats are more sensitive than dogs to the paranormal?
Yeah, I would probably say they are. But only because of the way they are. That's going to sound really weird. I think cats are solitary animals that have their own solitary existence, whereas dogs are pack animals. So, if you are scared yourself, then a dog is more likely to pick it up. Whereas if you're scared, the cat couldn't care less. But I think cats have got that extra sense of sensory perception, much more sensitive than dogs. I think dogs are much more sensitive to people than they are to spirit. But then that's just my opinion. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Well, I'm really disappointed now because I was expecting Gary to come on. Right. Oh, hang on. Here he is.
I think that's much more sensitive.
Our special guest for this evening.
Hiya, how you doing?
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Well, I'm really disappointed now.
Oh, who's not got earphones on?
Oh, here he is.
I can't turn the sound down on my machine at home. Hiya, how you doing? That's
brilliant. Well, I'm really disappointed.
What's going on?
Got headphones on.
I can't turn the sound down. I can't turn this thing on.
This is why you need earphones.
It won't turn off.
Take it out of the room.
Oh my goodness me. Oh, I'm
Oh, dearie me. I thought I was
right, hang on. Hang on. What can I do here? Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. No. Sorry, I don't know what was going on.
Oh
Man, oh dear. I've been trying to type some questions to you, and every time I type, messages pop up, so I have to get rid of them. And then I type, and everything I type then gets taken off. I must have a ghost in the house. Can anyone
I
see
think you
me?
must.
Can you? I think I have got spirits in the house somewhere, and I don't mean whiskey either. There you
Oh,
go.
God.
How are you? You all okay? Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thanks to you.
Yeah. I am now. I've got rid of that nonsense. God knows what went on there. Crikey.
Judy
And
says
they,
you're a liability.
and they call me a tech guy as well. Can't even turn the bloody sound down on my computer.
So
Never
are
mind.
you going to give us the lowdown on what's happening when we can get back out there and work?
Yeah. Well, Andrew is, because he's the sensible one out of the group. I'm the dickhead. Just saying.
I am Shel, thank you. I thought I had a non-speaking part tonight, to be honest with you, sitting there saying nothing.
I'm standing behind him, moving his lips in my hand.
I just wanted to pop on just to say, obviously, been some great news about like the roadmap about things hopefully coming back to normal. We are very, very optimistic that we're going to be back out fairly soon. Obviously, restrictions allowing and everything like that. We have got some great new venues. We've used our time in lockdown very, very wisely. We got some new venues to the paranormal field coming up. We got some really unusual venues, absolutely brilliant, and we got some real good stuff coming up. But we just wanted to just jump on just to reassure everyone that we're still here, and we're working hard behind the scenes and everything like that to sort of make sure we deliver the best ghost nights for you guys and the guests and everything like that. We are missing the guests like crazy. Ghost hunting runs through our blood, and we just can't wait to get back out and do it. Isn't that right, Gary?
Yeah. No, it's true. We have got some really fantastic new locations lined up, and obviously it'd be great to get back out there with all you guys, and with the guests, as Andrew said, they just sort of make the whole event go, because we see their astonishment on their face when certain things actually happen throughout the night. So that's always good. But we also, the way this show's going, it's really good. Where we're interviewing our crew members and other special guests as they come on with us, which is great. But Andrew and I will also be going out soon, and we will be doing some very special live interactive broadcasts on here. So at the moment, where it's a sort of an interview format, in the next couple of weeks, Amy's still going to be our hostess with the mostess, but we will be out live and we'll be cutting backwards and forwards from where our locations, and they are going to be quite freaky, spooky locations, and then obviously back to the studio, because we want everyone's input while we're out doing these experiments. We want people to engage with us live when we're there, and they'll do that obviously through Amy, who will then give us directions like, get out of the way, you prick, your head's covering the
Can I ask, Gary, will these be venues that guests will be able to attend, or are these just private locations to yourself?
Well, initially they're going to be private locations, but they will follow a theme, and we might run competitions to allow certain guests to join us at certain locations live.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen once we've got the ball rolling, once we've got the themes going, and then obviously the interest blows up, then we will obviously put out an opportunity for guests to join us. But more importantly, we want our crews also to get involved, and they'll have their moment in the limelight, going out and doing a 45-minute spot for us somewhere close to where they are,
Excellent.
because again, we want the audience to be there with you, and until we can actually get back to full-time paranormal investigation ghost hunts, this is another really good way to keep the momentum going across all our fans that we have out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And also, sorry.
No, sorry. No, it's all right.
No, I was going to say, like, I'll be asking a crew member each week as well to join me in the studio, so we can chat and see what their thoughts are as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Obviously, the more interaction we have between all of us and the people kind enough to view what we're doing, the better, actually. But we've got some really good locations lined up, and
I was going to give everyone a little sneaky peek. I know you didn't really want me to, but the themes of the locations that we're visiting are disaster areas
Okay.
where bad
yeah.
things have happened.
And I won't say there's 2 towers, but that could be a hint.
What, you're going on holiday?
To America.
Well, I'm leaving it up to you to work out where we could be coming from.
Exciting.
But the locations and the themes that we've got are really quite exciting, and we would like members of the public to join us. Obviously, our crew will join us wherever we go at given times anyway, if they're available. But we just think that'd be a really great way to sort of keep people, investigating with us.
And it's great taking like guests with us as well, because it's someone for me to hide behind.
Absolutely. Well, it's someone to make the tea, really.
That's exactly it.
And they must bring lots of Scottish rolls.
I remember, Andy, how much you jumped when that lightning and thunder at Dover Castle, when you asked, is there anybody there?
Oh my God, yeah, that was, I mean, I never expected an answer like that, to be honest with you. Yeah, I did jump. Yeah.
What happened there then, Andy?
I'll let Shel tell. I was busy hiding.
We were in the chapel, Gary, and unbeknown to us, because we were so enthralled with our investigating with the guests, we didn't realise there was a huge thunderstorm going on, and Andy had walked towards the altar part of the chapel, and he said, is there anybody there, when an absolute crack of thunder and lightning suddenly erupted through the window, and it was
wow,
amazing.
you could have timed that better, mate. Could you? Hey.
Yeah, no, it's because I was approaching an altar. I got a thunderbolt through the head.
Yeah. That's God telling you something, young man.
Yeah.
Young man. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
No, that's good. And as I said, we just wanted to pop on very briefly just to share that with everyone that's sort of kind enough to be watching tonight. And hopefully further down the line, all of our crew that are watching will also play a part in this, as some of them have done with the interviews, but we'd actually like them to be out there live doing a little bit of stuff for our guests as well. So, because we want to keep it interesting,
Definitely.
So, and that's the aim. So hopefully everyone will come on board and sort of put their hand up in the air and say, I've got a great bit of investigating I want to do that I want to share with you live, and then we can share the love, if you like, across all paranormal people.
Talk
Absolutely.
about love.
That's what I can't do that.
Love and share.
On that note, everybody, right, it's come to the end of the show, but don't forget to join Trudy on Trudy Psychic Tarot page. So, and that is straight after the show. So,
I'm going there right now to get my reading.
And don't forget to share. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week.
See ya.